Hey, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, once again, we have my son Jaden in the chair, and it's time to get this boy right. His hair was growing back fast, and it's time to get him nice and clean, nice and faded, just because. So let's go ahead and get right into it, y'all. So the first thing I want to do is just wet his hair. I want to wet his hair and brush it in the natural position that it's going to be pretty much combed in all the time. So I'm just going to brush it straight, brush it in the direction that the hair naturally grows in. That way it's easier to cut and fade. So we did decide last minute that we were going to do just a little design on the side. It's just a little line. So I went ahead and started off with that first with my Andy Slimline Pros. These things are very sharp and they just cut right through the hair. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and outline it just a little more with the Andys just so I can make sure it's looking nice and crisp. And the next step is to put some shave gel on it and just to outline it. That way I don't have to go back later and do it. And while I'm using the straight razor, it is a clean, fresh blade, and I'm applying little to no pressure because the blade is extremely sharp. I'm just pulling up on his skin and stretching at the same time. So the next step I'm going to be doing before I actually create the first guideline is going over his head with the number 5 guard. I just closed the lever about a quarter of the way just because I wanted just a little bit shorter on top. He has a lot of bulk, so I'm going to go in different directions, side to side, back and forth, just any direction that the hair is growing front to back, just to make sure that everything is nice and even all the way around. So when it comes to this first guideline, I'm kind of tracing around the design itself. So I'm going to kind of come at like an angle, as you can see, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop all the way down. So this will be a nice skin fade, drop fade. And I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side. With this side, there's no design, so don't be afraid to look back and forth on the cut just to make sure that you're getting it nice and even and that it lines up with the other side. One thing I kind of did mess up on in the beginning was I put a little too much shave gel, so it kind of went like a little further down into the hair than it should have. So that's why you guys see some hair right there on the corners. The hair is completely shaved off. After this step, I just got a wet towel, cleaned it up, got some baby powder, make sure it was dry. That way I can get right back into the cut. So as you guys just saw, I just created that second guideline. Now I'm going to go ahead and create the third guideline, and with this one I'm going to close the lever just a little bit, and I'm going to blend up pretty much all the way into the design with the number 1 guard, because on this side and the other side I just want to make sure it's even, and I kind of want to make sure it's faded out really good into the design just to give it like a nice little effect. Right here, I got the half guard, and just like the step before, I threw the lever up, I closed it just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and fade right into that number one, just to get that line nice and faded out. And as you might have noticed, I have not touched that second guideline yet. Me using this half guard is just going to make it easier when I start to blend out that bottom line with no guard, which you guys will see in just a little bit. So on this step, we are starting with no guard, the lever all the way open, which means the lever is all the way down. And little by little, as I go around the side of his head, I'm going to just close the lever little by little, remembering to use the corner of the blade to fade out this line. What's also really helping me to get this this line blended out pretty nicely is you can see I'm pulling up and stretching on his skin. Even with the wall trimmers right here, I'm pulling up and stretching. It just really helps me to get those little hairs that are tricky, and it kind of makes the hairs come out just a little more when you're pulling up on the skin. On these next few steps, you might notice me going back from a half guard to no guard, opening and closing the lever. I'm just doing that to get any tricky hairs that I might have missed, or any hairs or just any areas that are looking bulky. Right here I got the Andy Slimline Pros, and I'm just attacking this bottom line that you can't see in the video, but it's definitely there. And I'm just going to go back and forth between clippers and guards just to make sure that this line gets blended out the way I like it. On a little side note, you guys, I am pretty excited. These clippers you see me using here, I've had these for 6 years now, and they've done me very good. These are the Wahl Magic clippers. I'm definitely going to order me some new ones. They're about $114 on Amazon. Ever since COVID, the prices on clippers have gone up just crazy. In the beginning, 6 years ago, I paid $80, I believe, for these at Sally's. That was with the 25% off coupon though. But I'm going to go ahead and get the Wahl Designer wireless clippers that are pretty similar to these ones. The only difference, I believe, is just the blade is a little different. But going to go ahead and get those. When I do, I'll do a little unboxing for you guys just so you can see them. I'll compare them side by side next to these Magic clippers. And yeah, I'll let you guys know how I like them. You'll know from me doing my hair cutting videos if they're good, and if they're blending just as well as these Magic clippers do. But getting right back into this cut, the steps, if you've been paying attention, are pretty much the exact same as the other side. Now I'm blending out the guideline that I started with the one guard, dropped it down to a half, and now I got no guard on, slowly raising the lever up to remove this line. And right after that, I'm gonna grab my Wahl trimmers right here and continue to blend out that bottom line before we attack the darker area. To cut down some of this bulk, I'm going to go ahead with the number 2 guard, the lever close about 1/4 of the way, and just flick out into the hair. So on this next part, with no guard on, I have the lever all the way open and I'm slowly going to close it little by little just to blend out this bottom line. Going to do my best not to push into the actual haircut like the fade. Not going to go too high, just focusing on this bottom line and trying to get it blended out as best as I can. I didn't want to continue to use clipper guard after clipper guard, so I'm doing scissor over comb. These are the thinning shears, and this is just going to really help me to trim down a lot of the bulk that's sitting there around the hair. Now we finally got to the back of the hair. It's going to be the same exact steps that we did when we were blending the sides. Right now we have the half guard and I'm slowly closing the lever. And right after that, we got no guard on. Gonna slowly close the lever to a closed position and just blend it out as much as I can with these magic clippers. And right after that, we're gonna go ahead and grab the wall trimmers and just knock out any little details that these magic clippers couldn't get. This right here is my Oster blending comb. You can definitely get these on Amazon for pretty cheap. I'm just doing clipper over comb to get any of these little tricky hairs. That way I don't have to grab more clipper guards and continue to have to blend into it. This back line was being a little stubborn, so I grabbed the 1.5 guard again with the lever all the way closed, and I just started blending right into it. Same thing with the 1 guard. I started about halfway open, and I'm just gonna blend into it until it's fully closed. And it's gonna be the same exact process for every other blade I use, such as this half guard, and again with no guard. I came back on this side so I can continue to blend out this shadowed area. That bottom line right there by his temple area was being real stubborn and blending out, so I wasn't able to get it on video. I didn't press record when I was doing that, but I ended up blending it out a little more. You guys will notice when the cut's finished that that little shadowed area by his temple area is no longer there. I just grabbed the wall magic clippers with the lever pretty much all the way closed and blend it at it with an angle, because that's the way his hair grows on certain parts of his hair, is like kind of like at from the side. So it definitely helped. Now, one of the most important parts of the cut is the lineup. I've said this in previous videos. We mainly brush his hair to the side, but lately I've just been having it down with a fresh crispy lineup, brushed straight forward I mean, and the right side of his head likes to kind of comb over on its own, kind of like a cowlick in the front. So it's just a lot of brushing, you guys, and lining up as best as I can. With the scissors, I'm just going to go around the design itself to get any of these little baby hairs that are kind of coming into the design, you know, like kind of overlapping it. So I'm just going to go around it, trace it, and make sure it's nice and clean. On this barber chair I have, it does not have a neck rest, so I have him rest up against me, and I just want to let you guys know he's very secure. His head's not going to like bob back, and you know, I'm not going to cut him. He's very secure up against my, you know, my chest area, but very little pressure is applied while using the straight razor. It's incredibly sharp, you guys. I stretch the skin, pull the skin in the direction in which I'm cutting, and that just ensures that I get every hair nice and crispy, and it also ensures that I don't cut him. On this final part of the haircut, I'm just gonna go ahead and start blending down a lot of the darker area. It did not look good in my opinion compared to the opposite end, so with the 2-guard I'm just gonna blend out some of this bulk, and you guys will see what goes on from there. While blending this side of the hair, I'm not going up very high at all, just a little bit above the actual design line. I didn't want to push this fade up because I want it to be even with the opposite end, but in my opinion, when you guys see it finished, I think it looks good. You guys let me know down in the comment section if I should have kept it dark, or if you like the decision I made by kind of fading it out just a little more on this side. And as you guys can see how much darker it is underneath the hair, this is where I wasn't able to record it because I didn't press record when I did it. But that's the part that I actually blended out just a little more because in my opinion it was still too dark and it just didn't look right with the design right there. So without further ado, here's the before, you guys, of the haircut in the beginning of the video, and here's the after. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. Really hope you like it. You could definitely see that it looks a lot better right there underneath the design, and I think the haircut just came out very good. It didn't look too bad. Practice makes perfect, you guys. So if you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.